Once upon a time, there was a girl, and she had such beautiful and long hair that everyone who saw her could not take their eyes off. The strands were so light, just golden. Therefore, they called her Goldilocks. For all her beauty, she was a very naughty little girl. Mom always allowed her to walk in the yard, but ordered her not to go into the woods behind their house. Goldilocks was very interested to know what is in that forest. And so, while Mother did not see, she somehow left the house into the forest. The girl walked for a long time in the forest. Either he finds a berry, then looks at a beautiful flower, then listens to how the birds sing. So she got lost in the forest. And suddenly she saw an unusual house in a clearing. Goldilocks approached him quietly. I walked around but did not see anyone. She knocked on the door, but no one answered. Then she knocked harder, and the door opened itself. Goldilocks entered cautiously. 3 bears lived in that house. One bear was dad big and shaggy. The other was a mother bear. It was smaller. The third was a little bear. The bears were not at home because they had gone for a walk in the woods. The girl entered the room and saw 3 bowls of porridge on the table. The first bowl, the biggest one, was the daddy bear. The second bowl, the smaller one, was the mother bear, and the third, the smallest, was the bear cub. Near each bowl lay a spoon, large, medium, and small. Goldilocks was so hungry that she first wanted to eat from a large bowl. She took the largest spoon, took the porridge, tasted it, but the porridge was too hot. Then she took a medium spoon, took the porridge, tasted it, but the porridge was too cold. Finally, she took a small spoon and tasted the porridge from the small bowl. This porridge was neither hot nor cold, just right. And Goldilocks ate all the porridge from the little bowl. After eating, the girl wanted to sit and saw 3 chairs near the stove, one large, another smaller, and the third, very small, with a little red pillow. First, she tried to climb into the largest chair, but could not. Then the girl tried to sit on the middle chair, but it was very hard and uncomfortable. Finally, she sat down on the smallest chair, and it was just right for her. Goldilocks liked the chair so much that she began to swing on it. The chair cracked, broke, and she fell to the floor. The girl got up and went to another room. There were 3 beds, large, medium, and small. First, Goldilocks climbed onto the first bed, but it was too high and hard. I lay down on the middle one, it was too spacious and soft. The girl lay down on the third, smallest bed. She was just right for her. Goldilocks felt so comfortable and cozy that she quickly fell asleep. The girl was fast asleep when the bear family returned home. The bears got very hungry and immediately went to the table. Seeing his bowl, Papa Bear got really angry. Someone was eating my porridge. He growled. The bear mother also looked into her bowl and growled less loudly. Someone was eating from my bowl too. And the bear cub, seeing his empty bowl, cried loudly. Someone didn't just eat from my bowl, he ate all my porridge. The bears smelled something was wrong, left the table, and began to look around. Daddy Bear noticed that someone moved his chair and growled in a terrible voice. Someone was sitting on my chair. The bear mother looked at her chair and complained. Someone was sitting on my chair and moved it from its place. And then, the bear looked at his broken chair and again cried loudly. Someone did not just sit on my chair, but broke it. All 3 bears went cautiously into the bedroom. Someone was lying on my bed and crumpled it. Papa Bear roared in a terrible voice. And someone was lying on my bed too and crumpled it, growled the mother bear. The teddy bear looked at his bed and cried again. Someone was lying on my bed. And then he saw the girl and squealed in a thin voice, and still sleeps in her. Dad and Mom bears came to the bed and saw that a little girl was sleeping there. Goldilocks woke up from the cry of a bear cub, and was very frightened. There were 3 bears in front of her. She instantly jumped out of the house and ran wherever her eyes looked, without looking back. The girl ran for a long time. She was very tired, and then she saw her mother, who was looking for her missing daughter in the forest. Since then, Goldilocks always listened to her mother, and did nothing without her permission. She became a very obedient, kind, and good girl.
In the deepest part of the sea stood the palace of the Sea King. And he had 6 daughters. They played in the garden all day long. Unlike the other princesses, the youngest was quiet and brooding. And her name was the Little Mermaid. Most of all, she loved listening to stories about the world of people. Traditionally, a mermaid could only rise to the surface for the first time in her 16th birthday. And now it's time to see the land and the youngest princess. She surfaced close to the ship, singing and music coming from the deck. This was the first time the princess saw the ship. In the cabin of the ship, the Little Mermaid noticed a handsome prince. For a long time she could not take her eyes off him. Suddenly, a violent storm began at sea. The prince's ship hit a rock and shattered into pieces. In complete darkness, lightning flashed, and the Little Mermaid saw the prince fall into the sea. She rescued him by bringing him ashore. Soon the prince was found by a girl passing by. When he woke up, he smiled at her and thanked her for saving her. The Little Mermaid became sad that the prince did not even know about her existence. She dived into the water and swam away. From her father's stories about people, the Little Mermaid knew that they considered the fishtail of mermaids to be ugly. Therefore, in order to please a person, one had to acquire 2 legs. The next day, the Little Mermaid went to the sea witch. The sorceress agreed to make a potion for her that would turn the fishtail into a pair of slender legs. The princess's gait would be graceful, but every step she took would bring unbearable pain. And if the prince married another, the Little Mermaid would turn into sea foam. In return, the witch wished to take her wonderful voice from the girl. The princess was ready for anything to be close to the prince, and she agreed. Having sailed to the prince's palace at night, the Little Mermaid drank a magic drink. A sharp pain shot through her and she passed out. Waking up in the afternoon, the girl saw the prince in front of her, and lowering her eyes, found 2 legs instead of a fishtail. The prince tried to find out who she was and how she got here, but the Little Mermaid could not speak. Despite her airy gait and beautiful dancing, she felt terrible pain in her legs. The prince became more and more attached to the Little Mermaid, but still treated her like a cute little child. It never entered his head to make her his wife. Once the prince admitted that his heart is occupied by the one who saved him long ago on the shore, and they are going to get married. The Little Mermaid was very upset, but could not tell him the truth. When it was time for the wedding, the prince invited the Little Mermaid to go with the newlyweds on a honeymoon trip. A luxurious honeymoon tent is spread out on the deck of the ship. The Little Mermaid had one last evening left to be with the one for whom she left her home, gave her wonderful voice and endured endless torment every day. But he didn't even notice them. When silence fell on the ship, the Little Mermaid sat on the deck and waited for the first rays of the sun. Suddenly, near the ship, she noticed her sisters. They tearfully asked the witch to help save the princess from death. The sorceress gave them a sharp knife, with which the Little Mermaid was to pierce the heart of the prince. A drop of his blood would turn her legs into a tail, and she could return to the sea. The Little Mermaid looked into the tent, and saw there a sleeping couple in love. She did not find the strength to take the prince's life, and threw the dagger into the sea. With grief, the Little Mermaid threw herself into the water. But the kindness of the princess melted the heart of the wicked witch. The sorceress cancelled her spell, and the Little Mermaid again had a fishtail instead of human legs.